Hello and welcome to our first boys volleyball preview show on KLCS. My name is Randy Rosenblum. For the next hour, we will discuss the teams and leagues in the Los Angeles Unified School District. We'll also look at the top individual players who will make this boys volleyball season a very special one. Last year we witnessed the Granada Hills Highlanders stun the Taft Toreadors in a sensational 5-game match as both teams had opportunities to win the title. Perhaps we will see another dramatic final this season. One thing is certain, boys volleyball in the city section will be exciting and well played. To help us sort out the 2008 season, let's meet our distinguished panel of coaches. And we start with Verdugo Hills head coach, Will Reinhardt. Will's back. Good to see you, Will.
Good to see you, Randy. I'm excited about this year. 2008 should be great for boys volleyball. A lot of parity, a lot of exciting teams and players, so I'm chomping at the bit, ready to get for it.
And I promise I will not call you Mr. Red Card. All right, our next coach is from Carson Christie North. Yes, she does coach the guys at Carson Christie. Welcome.
Thank you, Randy. I was going to say I actually played in one, or not, I didn't play, but my boys played in a match against Will when he received one of his illustrious red cards. But there's good camaraderie between Carson and Verdugo.
And that's a thing of the past. Will doesn't get any of that.
That's ancient history. We're ready to move on. Turn the page on that.
All right, let's go to Elias Gomez, who's done a sensational job at Elizabeth as their coach. They are a small school powerhouse. Elias, good to see you.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's turn our attention first to the very powerful West Valley League. This is a league that's won the city championship the last 9 years, so we'll see if anybody can break through that threshold 9 seasons in a row. Here are the schools that make up the West Valley League: Birmingham, Chatsworth, Cleveland, which won the invitational title last year, El Camino Real, Granada Hills, the 2-time defending city champion, and Taft, last year's runner-up, as you saw in that opening video, and Will Reinhardt will assist us. And, well, let's start with Birmingham. They may not be the strongest team in the city, but they're pretty good. The problem for them is they're just in a very tough West Valley League.
They are in a very tough league, and I talked to their coach, Anthony Thomas, who's in his 6th year over at Birmingham. Birmingham has finally got some experience, and they do compete in the very tough West Valley League. As you know, 10 championships in the last 11 years for the West Valley League. They figured to be somewhere in the middle of the pack, 3rd, 4th place perhaps. And absolutely, Birmingham has got senior leadership. You see Anthony Kelly there, wicked left-hand stroke from that guy. He is a powerful player. And then, of course, their setter, Anthony Ortega, Jose Ortega. He is a talented young setter. They're going to run the 5-1 with him this year. Oscar Cano, you see, one of the top defensive players.
All right, so that's Birmingham, and we think they're a pretty good team, but obviously they're in the very potent West Valley League. But we know one thing, Chatsworth is for real. They've won 4 city championships in this decade already. And I know, Will, you think Chatsworth is loaded for bear. They went to the semis last year.
They went to the semis last year. Talking to the coaches around the city, they're the preseason #1 team. They've got the target on their back, experienced players. Jonathan Sheriff is the new coach. You know,
there's a new sheriff in town, right?
Greg Salzberg was all those years and all those championships, but he left a good nucleus, and Sheriff will have the talent to take them all the way to Cal State Northridge this year.
All right, and who are some of those players that are going to get it done for the Chatsworth Chancellor?
Right, well, they have one of the top setters in the city, and Anthony Oano. He's going to be fantastic. He's great decision-making. He blocks pretty well for a guy about 6 feet tall, and he's got lots of weapons. Andrew Trevino, Thomas Franco. They're looking at huge middle blockers, lots of athletes on their team. So when you look at Chatsworth this year, you're talking about from top to bottom, a very talented team, somebody that we expect to see May 17th.
You say they're a soft #1. You know they're good, but you don't think they're a lock to be in the city finals.
I don't. I don't think there's a prohibitive #1 team. There's no team that stands out that much further than everybody else. But given that they made the semis last year, given they're returning so many guys, they should be dangerous, and they should be the favorite.
Cleveland High School did win the Invitational Crown a year ago. Jeff Laidlaw does a great job with the boys and the girls. And where are they at Cleveland?
Well, you know, Jeff Laidlaw, my friend over there, the crazy Canuck, the Canadian man, he's got a terrific team. And much as we said with Birmingham, Cleveland suffers from being in a very strong league, so you get the wrong impression because of maybe a suspect record, yet they are very talented, and so we expect to see some big things from them. They probably aren't poised to make that top-level jump 1 or 2. But they'll be fighting in there with Birmingham for the middle of the pack in the West Valley, and they'll have a lot of talent.
El Camino Real was a very high seed last year. They have a great player returning, we think, in Ryan Perryman, but he's having some, senioritis?
This could be an interesting story. We talk about El Camino. El Camino was the number 4 seed in the city last year. They were knocked out prematurely, but that kid, Ryan Perryman, a 2-time All-City player, this year a senior, he figures to be one of the top returning players if he returns. The scuttlebutt is around the West Valley. He may not be coming back. He's quit his club team, and he may not be coming back to El Camino. That is a very big question mark for that league. If he's there, Randy, I'll tell you right now, they could contend with Chatsworth and Granada for the West Valley League title.
You mentioned Granada Hills. They are the 2-time champions. Coach Tom Harp there does a wonderful job every year. Where are they now? Are they again a team that figures to have a shot to go to Cal State Northridge?
2-time defending champion, and size does matter.
All right.
So
it's a line that's been used before.
That's right.
Will.
You talk about this. Joe Randis, 6'6" player. He's a top middle, one of the top middles in the city.
Very physical.
One of our Player of the Year candidates, and of course Andrew Pitters, who you remember from last year, stepped up in this championship final against Taft. He had 7 kills in 8 attempts. So he figures to be a key player. And get this. Tom Harp told me yesterday that Pitters is going to be looking as a possibility for the setter at Granada. They're not sure. They've got to replace Rosenfield, the Player of the Year. So they say Pitters may end up setting the ball. Imagine a setter that large. That'd be a nice blocking partnership too. So Granada, they only have 3 returning varsity players, but you can't count them out.
This is a video from that unbelievable match that they got by, slipped past Taft, 21-19 in Game 5. And, they have the experience, though, the one players that were on that floor that night, they have that experience to fall back on. And I think that's got to be a decided advantage for them, the guys that were there last year, to be in a match like this and have a season like they had last year.
Well, that's true, but we also have to look at the fact that Granada pulled off the double last year. Granada won the junior varsity championship as well. I know that all too well because they beat my Verdugo Hills JV team in the finals at Venice. They're bringing up a lot of those junior varsity players. They're used to winning championships over there, and they believe in themselves. So with the combination of those middles, Pitters and Randis, along with some of these JV talents, Granada is going to be a team to be reckoned with, and no one can count them out.
You can never count out Taft, the Toreadors. Armand Mercado is the consensus, I think, coach of the year every year. Everybody, when you say who's the best coach in the city, everyone says Armand Mercado. Now, they didn't quite get it done last year. His team won the girls' championship. He came a point away from winning the boys' championship, nearly had that double. But Armand Mercado, he seems to get basketball players that come off the great Toreador basketball team out to volleyball. So where is Taft at this juncture?
Well, you called it. When you talk about Taft, you've got to start at the head of that program. That's Armand. Armand, his 9th season over there, has consistently got his program into the semifinals or finals. And they haven't won the boys' championship just yet, but they've been ever so close. 19-21 in the 5th game last year. He is the big reason why they'll be successful. He's got a work ethic second to none. He's got a great knowledge of X's and O's. And as you pointed out, because of his popularity and personality, he's able to get some of the basketball types, the athletes that might shy away from volleyball at other schools. So because of Armand, they will be a contender, but they're going to be having to rebuild. You see their junior Malal, he is one of those players that are diamond in the rough. Armand found him and turned him into a top-notch player.
Yeah, we see Boykins there and Garrett Green. Number 32 is Garrett Green. Those guys have graduated, but they're former basketball players. In fact, Green's on a scholarship to LSU. You see him pounding away there. And those are the kind of players that he's able to get off the basketball team, and they have that kind of talent. Again, everyone knows how good their basketball program is. If they get those guys to come out and assist, you can't really count Taft out. Now, how many of these teams will go to the city tournament out of the West Valley League? How many of the teams do you believe will get to the city championships?
I think they're going to sweep 6 for 6. Last year they were.
You think all the schools?
All 6. And I'll tell you what, they could have a team, let's say a Cleveland, that could go 0-10 and still qualify. It's happened before. It's because of the strength of that league. They're still the #1 league in the city at this point. And I predict that all 6 will qualify for the playoffs.
All right, the West Valley is very strong, but we also know the Western League is pretty solid as well. Here are the schools that make up the Western League, and we'll have help here from Christy North of good old Carson High School. Fairfax, Hamilton, Los Angeles, Palisades, University, Venice, and Westchester. And Christy, we'll start with Hamilton. They sent in some video. I know they're trying to enhance their program. Where are the Yankees?
I think they're in the middle to the lower part of the pack in the Western League. I think that Palisades, Venice, and even University are just too strong for them. I think their program's improving, and they have a strong coach there. But other than that, I think that they're about middle of the field.
And again, as you look at Bino Burhan, and you look at the talent on hand in Hamilton, it's not that they're that weak. It's another case of we have a strong league in the Western League.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we were talking about the dominance of the West Valley League in the finals. But I think that any league that is poised to break that, hold that the West Valley is the Western League, I think, with teams as strong as especially Palisades and Venice.
All right, let's hone in a little bit on the Palisades Dolphins. Chris Forrest is the coach there. He has a chance to do what Armin came up a little bit short with last year and win the doubles, because he won the Palisades championship on the girls' side, and Chris is now coaching the boys' team. Palisades has won 10 city titles in boys volleyball. They haven't won since 1998. Can they break through this year?
I think with the word that everyone is getting about Scott Vegas, their setter, that he's just that optimum player that everybody is looking for, I think that gives them the possibility. That is it's such a stranglehold that the West Valley League has on it. But I do think that Palisades or Venice definitely have an opportunity to break that.
So with Vegas, they're rolling the dice a little bit, huh?
I think so. I think so. But, everyone keeps talking about what a top player he is. So we'll find out. They're our first match. So.
Should I take it one step further and say there's no gamble with this Vegas?
Well, apparently he's being recruited by UCLA. We'll find out if that's a gamble. People I talked to last year and this year about Scott Vegas, they thought he was good, and the comment that I got again and again was, I'm not sure if he's UCLA good. So he's got his senior year to prove that to the Bruins, I guess. But I'm just wondering, Christy, with a name like Bino Burhan, how could Hamilton, with a leader like that, not be ranked among the elite in the Western? Bino Burhan, come on.
Well, it is what it is, and we'll see. If Bino can get them to that point, then more power to him.
Christy, you didn't mention Venice, which is surprising to me.
Venice,
Alan Hunt's a really good coach. They won the league last year. And I know there's great tradition. We said Palisades has had the 10 titles. University's won 7 titles when you go back a few years. But what about Venice?
I think Venice, solid coaching there. Alan Hunt, I think he's one of the top coaches in the city. And he just brings players in. They want to play for him. And because of that, he gets quality players. And I think you can never count Venice out.
Any other schools there that can make a dent? We got Westchester, we got LA High, Fairfax.
LA, not so much. Fairfax could be an outside kind of a spoiler. I don't see them necessarily taking the league, but maybe spoiling somebody else's chances too. And Westchester and University are definite possibilities. They are always in the hunt for it. I think their top 2 teams are Venice and Palisades, though.
Yeah, and they're trying in the Western League to reclaim that magic they used to have, but it's still clearly the Venice Palisades. That connection. Alan Hunt, his former assistant, Chris Forrest, they have got a stranglehold on that league, and Scott Vegas on the one side and Ryan Machado on the other. Those guys are going to dominate.
All right, let's move our attention to the Eastern League. Elias Gomez will help us here. In the Eastern League, Bell is the defending champion, Garfield. Then we have Huntington Park, L.A. Jordan, Roosevelt, Southeast, and Southgate. Southeast is really improving all its athletic teams now after 3 years of being around. So, Elias, alphabetically we start with Bell, and they won the league last year. So, plain and simply, is Bell the team to beat?
I think Bell is the team to beat again. Coach Purcell always has a good offensive team, good, very scrappy defensive team. So I do think they will be the top team in this league. Right. They have their setter Antonio Ochoa, who's going to be feeding Victor Ferrer and Ray Garcia, who they're going to be scoring a lot of points for that team. After them is Garfield. The Bulldogs, they're going to be tough. They always have good outside hitters. They have good defense, and they will be one of the top 2 teams there. The team to watch out for, though, I think would be Jordan.
Would you rate them as a sleeper, L.A. Jordan?
Jordan's probably going to be a sleeper, but they're going to be a loud sleeper. They're going to be...
They're snorers.
They're snorers, I guess, but they're going to be pretty tough. Coach Leland Wong has many good players there. He recruits some of the basketball team, so he has good players. He has 2 captains, senior captains, outside hitters both, in Flavio Arellano and Freddie Lopez, and he has a great middle blocker in Edward Garcia. And Emmanuel Nunez is going to be feeding all three, so they should be very strong offensively. Defensively, I'm not too sure how they're going to do, which that might be their weak spot, but they're going to be swinging away, and they're going to be hard to stop.
Christy, you have a thought here.
Well, because we were engaged in a clinic with Jordan. Jordan, Narbonne, and Carson all were in a clinic, and those kids are scrappy, and they want to play. They are really striving hard to improve. They improved just in the 2 hours that they were in the clinic, picking up, what pointers will help them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but what about the love for HP? Don doesn't get any love? Come on, Eli. You're going to let that slide?
Not finished
What about
yet.
HP? I want to know Huntington Park.
This league has 5 teams that I'm pretty sure will make the 32 spots in the playoffs. Don Patino always has an excellent defensive team. He picks up everything. That team picks up every ball that comes over that net. They play very hard. They're strong offensively. Their setter puts the ball where the hitters love it, and they're going to be tough to beat. Roosevelt always has a good team. Coach Parra is very scrappy over there. They have that East LA attitude we were talking about. So they're pretty good. Southgate, Tito Cervantes always has a great team. This is one of the leagues that has consistent coaching. Those coaches have been there for a long time.
What about Southeast? Because we're starting to see Southeast and other sports, girls basketball, football, do a little bit better. Where are they in boys volleyball?
They're coming up. Like I said, they've only been in 3 years. They're going up against coaches who've been there at least 5, 6 years. Coach Don Patino's been there over 20 years. So they're in a tough league to learn in. But that's a great league to learn in because they have great competition. And Southeast is probably going to be towards the bottom, but they're improving every year, stronger and stronger.
Well, you like Bell.
I like Bell.
All right, let's move ahead and let's talk about the Valley Mission League. Once again, will help us here. Kennedy, Monroe, Panorama, Reseda, the Tigers of San Fernando, and always powerful Sylmar, the Spartans. Bob Thompson historically has very strong teams. So let's lead in with Bob Thompson's team at Sylmar, because every year you got to think, well, they're in the mix to get deep into the tournament.
Yeah, and there's no question that this league, once again, is going to be dominated by Sylmar. The Spartans have a terrific coach, Bob Thompson, 26 years at Sylmar, started that program, and their assistant or co-head coach, if you will, Sohail Mashoud, 17 years. And that kind of stability that Eli was talking about along with Christie is what's made them kind of a little bit cut above the rest of the teams. You look at Copes here, outstanding basketball player, converted into volleyball. Earlier we saw Felipe Garcia, the outstanding setter, and Matt Farias, one of their outside hitters. There's Felipe. Boy, I think he's a junior. You watch this kid, 6'4", soft hands. Sean Geronimi and some of their other defensive players have always given Sylmar an edge, a lift, because they've got the power, but they're probably a year away. A lot of juniors on this team. Tyler Honeycutt, another one of the guys from the basketball team, from Bordescoto's vaunted basketball team over there. But definitely look for the Sylmar Spartans to dominate this league. As we look down the list, who's going to give them a challenge? 'Cause I'll tell you right now.
Is there anybody that's going to challenge them?
Absolutely not. It's going to be a 10-0 run.
You said that last year.
And it happened last year.
You said that because he coaches the girls, and when we were doing the girls show with Will, he said the girls will go 10-0. You were right. So now you're saying his boys are going to go 10-0 in that league.
You were talking gambling earlier. If you want to go ahead and put some money on this, Sylmar will go 10-0 in their league. Where they help themselves out is from the preseason schedule. They have Taft on their preseason. They have Palisades on their preseason. They have a strong tournament schedule. That's the only way they can do it, because right now, Reseda, Kennedy, San Fernando, those teams are clearly a notch below Sylmar. Monroe, I've been hearing good things about. Lee Bradford, who's like in his 6th or 7th year over there, is trying to rebuild what once was a terrific program. But the Vikings have slipped off in recent years. So it's been Reseda that's been giving the hardest time recently to Sylmar, but they're actually down this year. Daniel Nishi, outstanding coach. So they have the fundamentals, but I don't think they have the talent to challenge Sylmar.
In the bigger picture, where does Sylmar stand? Okay, I agree that they're probably too strong for the Valley Mission League, but up against the titans that are the West Valley League, how does Sylmar fit in that mix?
Sylmar is elite, and by elite I mean they are a top 8 caliber team. Last year they underperformed. They were seeded, I think, 5th or 6th in the city bracket and ended up getting knocked out by Van Nuys, an underdog. But they are elite, and they have been for many years. Can they make that final jump? I'm not sure. I don't think this year is going to be it. But next year, you watch for those Spartans. They will probably be the preseason favorites.
Okay. That's a good look at the Valley Mission League. We're going to step out when we come back. Christy North is going to help us with her Marine League. She's from Carson, and She likes her Colts' chances. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the Marine League. We're talking boys volleyball today on KLCS.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
And welcome back. This is our KLCS Boys Volleyball Special. See which teams are going to be the best in the city of Los Angeles in 2008, who might be the best players. We're going to move ahead now to the Marine League. And, of course, in the Marine League is Banning, Carson, Gardena, King Drew, Narbonne, which tied for first last year with the Carson Colts, San Pedro, the Pirates, Randy Johnson's team. No, not that Randy Johnson, a different one, Randy with an I. And Washington, who's up and coming. And, of course, helping us here is going to be Christy North of Carson High School. So let's start with your school, Christy. I know you were very solid last year, came up a little bit short in the playoffs. How good are the Colts?
You know, if I can just tackle the Marine League as a whole first, except for Washington Prep, the top three teams, Narbonne, Carson, and San Pedro, are all rebuilding this year. So Carson is no different. And we lost 6, 7 seniors. Narbonne lost 8 or 9 seniors. Washington Prep is the one that has the consistency. However, I brought up a lot of solid JV players. Carson is always very consistent, very competitive. I think that in a lot of times, there's Jeff Abadia. He was middle last year. There's Trey Cabreros. He's a sophomore setter. He stepped in last year to help us out. Jeff was a middle last year. That's Jeff on the left, Trey on the right. We moved him to outside because he's quick. He's very quick. He's jump serving. That's Jeff.
You like Jeff a lot, it looks
I
like,
love
on the
Jeff.
video here.
He's my boy. When we won the Venice tournament last year, we were all very excited. So I included that because a lot of those players are players who are coming up into the varsity level and will be very serious players for us.
Talk a little bit, too, if you could single in on Narbonne a little bit, because I know you think they're very talented, and you feel they're one of the elite teams.
I do. Sophia Ahumada, I'm sorry, Sophia, I just mangled your name.
Ahumada.
But she always finds good talent, and they find her. We have a lot of Islanders at Narbonne and at Carson, and at Banning as well, who come in, and they are just really good natural athletes. And I think that she will have a consistent team this year as well.
When I think of great athletes in the Marine League, I think of San Pedro in so many different sports, both boys and girls, especially on the girls' side. They've had terrific teams in girls' sports. But in boys volleyball, where are they?
They're in the hunt with us, top 3 teams, definitely, with Washington being the dark horse again. I know that Rich and Randy lost one of their top middle blockers, but they have Jacob Green, an up-and-coming, that's not him yet, but Jacob Green is an upcoming middle blocker, and he's been playing a lot of club. There he is. And they feel he's going to be a strong presence on the court, so it's somebody definitely that we'll be looking out for.
And with a name like Randy Johnson coaching them, you've got to think that they're pretty good. But what kind of coach is Randy? What does she do?
I've only just met her, but she played volleyball for Cal State Dominguez Hills, and she looks like she has a solid resume as a player standpoint.
And Washington Prep, you believe they're going to make big noise this year?
I really do, and everybody has been listening to me harp about them for the past 3 years. Skylar Vaden is a senior this year. He's been playing varsity since he was a freshman. He's a highly touted basketball player who will probably go to a D1 school for basketball, but he could definitely get a D1 scholarship for volleyball as well.
And the winner of the Marine League is?
Carson High, of course. Carson Colts. I think that we definitely have the consistency. We have a good defense. We have scrappy, small kids, and we have a couple of basketball kids that are going to be coming out. Still looking to see exactly how my team's going to be made up, but I really think that we're going to be solid. Right. I think it'll be between Carson and Narbonne.
Well, and when you see Carson, that photo that you guys showed up there, that's Carson in a nutshell. They're a fun-loving bunch, always have been. She didn't have a chance here to mention last year's outstanding player, Paul Neapoli. He kind of, I think, set a tone for that program, and they have that kind of chemistry, camaraderie that I think makes them play loose at key moments. So Carson, for sure, is going to be among the top teams, not only in that league, but in the city.
I think it comes, too, with so to speak, the island flavor of Carson. A lot of kids last year learned to play the ukulele from Carson kids. We had Washington Prep kids playing the ukulele. We had Verdugo Hills kids. We had Fairfax kids playing the ukulele because that's what keeps them loose. They want to go out and they play volleyball because they love it. They have a great time, and they want everybody else to have fun too.
All right, sounds great. All right, let's move ahead and talk about the Northern League. The schools that work out of the Northern League are Belmont, Eagle Rock, Franklin High School, Lincoln, Marshall, which is the reigning champions of the Northern League, and the Mules from Wilson. Elias Gomez will help, and let's start with the team that won it last year, Marshall, because I know you think they're very good.
I think Marshall's going to take it again. They're going to be the tough team in this league to be. They always have a good offense, good defense, good outside hitters. Coach Manahan has always done a great job with them. Eagle Rock is the team to watch, though. I think Eagle Rock is going to give them a good run for their money. Coach Tim Bergeron, he's very feisty, on fire the whole time. He's nonstop. He just loves his team, and he loves the game. And he pushes these boys, and they play really hard. And he's going to have a very tall lineup this year. 6-foot outside hitter, 6'3", middle blocker. They've played some club, and they're going to be tough to beat. Outside hitter Kurt Hoverson is going to be very good. Wilson Chan is the other outside hitter. And at opposite, Stephen Phillips. So he's going to attack on both sides of the net, and he's going to give Marshall a very good run for their money. I wouldn't be surprised if Eagle Rock comes out on top in this league. Franklin's up and coming. Coach Yu always has a great team, and he will be a force to deal with in this league.
Well, I know you've had some thoughts on Franklin.
Yeah, no, Franklin, I mean, I've seen them the past couple of years grow. Yeah, Coach Yu has always got the outstanding skills, and his players are always tough. They're not as big, but I'll say something about Tim Bergeron over there at Eagle Rock. He played the '97 championship team, and you can tell he wants to put Eagle Rock back on the map. They're committed over there. Now, Marshall may be the defending champs, but watch out for the Eagles.
Isn't Marshall the team that beat Saugus last year in one of the tournaments, in the Sylmar tournament?
They may have, yeah.
You know,
I think they did.
You
And Coach Yu is the mentor, as we said, of Armin Mercado at Taft. So
Yeah, Armin's out of this league. He came from Franklin, right?
He's a fair Franklin grad, and yeah, learned what he knows about volleyball from Coach Yu.
Yeah, I stumped you on that one, huh? You don't think I know that Armin Mercado graduated and was an all-city setter at Franklin High School. So where is the Northern League? You know, can they make any dent, or are they a little bit behind West Valley and a Marine League?
You know, definitely they can.
Thank you for including the Marine League in that.
I got to be nice.
Definitely they'll make a dent on the invitational side of the bracket, but I see Eagle Rock and Marshall taking stronger steps towards breaking that West Valley dominance one day. They're making good strides in that direction.
Speaking of the Valley, the Sunset Six, and I know Will Reinhardt will be shouting the approval of this league as we go through the schools and trying to tell me they're better than the West Valley League, but I don't believe him. Canoga Park, Poly at Sun Valley. Granada Hills has dominated some of these teams in recent years, but one of the teams that has shown up strong is Grant out of the Sunset Six League, although there's a change into the guard. I'm sure we'll talk about that. North Hollywood Huskies, the Van Nuys Wolves, a tremendous team that went to the semifinals last year and has a great player in Joe Ha, and Will Reinhardt's Verdugo Hills Dons. Let's start not with your ball club, but with Van Nuys. In Happy Valley, it's Joe Pa, right? Joe Paterno.
Right. That's right.
In the San Fernando Valley, it's Joe Ha.
Joe Ha. But before we even talk about the Wolves, I got to make a correction here. I do not think the Sunset Six is as good as the West Valley. I'm merely pointing out that we are making the progress to start to challenge that valley. We've all talked about the quality of the West Valley League. It's just that some of the other leagues are now starting to make their move as well.
Okay, now that you've made that statement, what about Van Nuys?
But Van Nuys specifically. Look, last year, I think they were seeded 11th, 12th in the city. They upset the number 5 seed, the Spartans, and then they got all the way into the semifinals. I think they were 3rd place in our league, and they made all the way to the semifinals. So they are returning a lot of their key players. Joe Ha, outstanding, versatile player. He's not huge, but he is very quick, very intelligent hitter. This team is full of guys like that are not necessarily the biggest players, but if they can get some of these recruits in from the basketball teams that we've been hearing about, Victor Rudd, who's currently on the Van Nuys basketball team, and Cameron Bromey. There's John Kim, outstanding outside hitter. And these younger guys might be able to support Joe Ha, the middle that you see right there. Oh, he looks like a Terminator. Look at that. Wow. He is a Terminator. We don't like seeing Joe because we know he's going to have a field day when he plays.
We should interject here. A terminator in volleyball is a hitter that terminates the play, finishes it off. So I don't want it to come across as a terminator, as a negative individual.
No. But and there's Tienvo, and he's another good right side for them. These guys are stacked. They're technically strong. They finished third in our league last year, and yet they still made to the semis. This year, they should be among the favorites in the city, probably the favorite in our league.
All right, let's talk about your Verdugo Hills Dons. I know, Will, you won the girls' invitational title, and I know you feel like you have a chance with Verdugo Hills, which won the Sunset Six last year, to go deep in the playoffs. Where are the Dons?
Well, the Dons, I think we're going to have a lot to do with deciding the outcome of that Sunset Six League. We may factor in as well for the city championship. We have Ross McFarland, who's a dynamic outside hitter, explosive. Last year, he drew blood from a kid from North Hollywood. I mean, literally, we had to stop for 15 minutes to clean this guy's head up. He can really power the ball, and he's got Bobby Blake, who's an outstanding setter, to feed him. We have some size. We have experience. I got actually 11 seniors. I've never had a team with that many seniors. So Van Nuys, Verdugo, I think we look like the top two teams in our league. And given what's going on at Grant, it's probably the case. We'll see what happens in the city.
You said what's going on at Grant. That's a coaching change. Now, Grant was one of those elite teams that had chances to make waves in recent years. Didn't quite get over the top. But now there's some trouble brewing in Grant at Van Nuys.
That's right. Grant, for the past decade, has been the team to beat in our league. And then this year, big change. Coach Howard Kahn, 12 years at Grant, his assistant Ian Lee have moved on. They've accepted a position over at Calabasas High. They're going to be in the Marmonte League. And so there's a little bit of confusion as to what's going on now at Grant. They have a new coach. His name is Greg Cronenberger. I just talked to the AD, Bill Foster, just this morning, and he said that this kid, who is a redshirt freshman over at the Cal State Northridge men's team, will be taking the reins over there. They have returning talent, Randy, but with that kind of overturn and chaos there, I don't know. I think they may be struggling this year.
All right, what about the rest of these teams here? I'm looking down at North Hollywood, Polytechnic, and Canoga Park. I don't look at volleyball names per se when I see CP, Poly, and NH.
Okay, well, with North Hollywood, they have a first-year coach, Tyler Kwan, and they're building. I don't think they're going to be a part of the equation this year. Canoga Park has a great coach, Jason Carbonell, but he's been wanting to transition out. And he finds himself yet again coaching the boys reluctantly, so not there. But you're wrong about one thing. Peter Johansson and the Poly
I've made a
team,
mistake?
Yeah, just in the last 5 minutes, right?
So first.
Yeah, Peter Johansson and the Poly Parrots. Watch out for them. Christy mentioned Washington Prep. The Poly Parrots are going to be our Washington Prep in our league. They have got experience. This kid, Aaron Sanchez, remember his name. He's an outside hitter with club experience. He was one of the top players in our league last year. So I think there is a possibility of Poly finally cracking that top 16. They'll for sure be in the Invitational. But let's just see what happens. If they finish third, there's a good chance they're seated in the top 16 this year.
Who wins the league, Van Nuys or Verdugo?
Oh, it's a coin toss. Call it.
Well, if going on coaching, I'm going with Van Nuys.
Oh, you're going to do me like that.
Yeah, got to do it. All right, let's turn our attention to the Southern League. We always take those shots at will, don't we? The Southern League has Bravo, Contreras, Elizabeth, which is, of course, Elias's team, and we'll get to them momentarily, the Sheiks of Hollywood, and Santee. We'll start with the Bulldogs of Elizabeth, who came real close last year in the small schools to winning the championship. Elias, you've had great success with the girls. Obviously, your boys' team is right on the doorstep.
Well, our boys are looking forward to another good season. We've lost several seniors at key positions, and we're going to try to make another run for the small school championship. It's going to be a tough one. Northridge is a tough team this year. They're returning almost everybody. But for the Southern League, it's going to be between Elizabeth and Bravo. Bravo has an excellent team also.
Before we get to Bravo, let's break down your Bulldogs. Where do you see the strengths and potential weaknesses of your club?
Well, we lost our setter. We had our 3-year setter. We lost our setter.
And you got to wait for soccer players to come out,
and
right?
They're basically all on the soccer team. I have 2 players right now, and we have to wait for the soccer team to finish. We don't want them to hurry. We want them to go as far as possible. They're hoping to win the finals, so they're going to be in it. We have Samuel, who's our defensive specialist, and he's making all the passes. Art is our outside hitter, who might be, we might go with the 6'2" and run him as a setter in the back row. Edward is our libero this year. He picks up everything. He's a great defensive player, and we're glad to have him. Francisco is, we call him Paco. Paco is going to be our new middle blocker. He's a sophomore, and Miguel is our other outside hitter, who is probably going to be the second setter on our team. So we might run a 6-2 by the setter.
When you say 6-2, explain that to the layman who may not understand that.
That means we'll always have 3 hitters in the front, and our setter always comes from the back row. So when my outside hitter is in the front row, he'll be the outside hitter. When he's in the back row, he'll be the setter. They have the best hands we have so far on the team, and we're going to have to run our offense that way.
All right, after yourself in that league, in the Southern League, you think it's Bravo?
It's Bravo. Bravo's very hungry this year. They should have made playoffs last year. Unfortunately, they didn't make it. Now they're very, very hungry. They want to make some ground in this tournament. This their second year. They wanted to make playoffs their first year, but this is their second year. Coach Kalani has worked with these boys, and he has great players. He has 4 seniors that are going to lead the way for him this year. His captain, outside hitter, Salvador Arias, was the Southern League MVP last year. He was that good in his first year playing, so he was very good. Their opposite is Steve Serrano, and he's going to be attacking from the right side. So he has good attackers on both ends. And Jeff Pasiolico is their setter, so he can set both ends of the net, and he's going to keep us on our toes, and he's going to keep any team that they face in the playoffs on their toes. I think they're going to be a tough team to beat.
I was wondering, where's the Salas brother? Aren't there any brothers for the Salas family?
Salas brothers.
You got to talk to that family.
Only girls.
See, that's what's holding you back. You need a Salas on the boys' team.
There's no future Salas brothers coming in either. They're done. It's just 2 daughters, and that's our heart of our team right now.
Well, make it co-ed. Get the Salases on.
I want to talk to you about Hollywood, because that's the one school in this league, in the Southern League, when I look at boys volleyball, that has history on its side. I mean, they've been around for many, many years. The Sheiks have been in all sports and moved over to the Southern League. So where do they fit in? You would think with the years of experience of having an athletic program, some of these other schools are a lot newer. So where's Hollywood fit in here?
Well, Hollywood just missed playoffs last year also. They were right next to Bravo, and they just did not get in. I guess they were team like 34 out of 32. But Hollywood took a big hit this year. Their coach last year, Chad Finch, is no longer coaching. He's the athletic director, and so he won't be coaching this year. So they're going to take a big hit at the coaching spot. They're going to have a new coach who's going to try to come in and recruit players, and it's going to be tough for them.
All right, one quick note on Contreras. We know they got great facilities.
Oh, beautiful facilities. I wish we could all play there all the time. Beautiful facility. But their first-year team, brand new. I don't know how the recruiting is going. I don't know how their coaching is going. They could be a surprise.
And the same for Santee. They're another building program.
Santee is in their 3rd year, and they're still building and trying to get that ball rolling. This is going to be their 3rd coach for boys volleyball.
We're going to step out, and when we return, we'll talk about the Coliseum League on our KLCS special. We're talking boys volleyball today. Please stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
I'm a single mother of 2 kids. I work a lot. I come home tired. We do miss a lot. He dropped off for a whole month. Sometimes I would talk to him and he wouldn't even turn around and look at me. I would just get frustrated because in any way that I talk to him, it just doesn't go through his head. I didn't give up because there's always hope that they'll snap out of it.
Give your team the boost they need to graduate. Call 1-877-4A-KID or join us at boostup.org for tips and advice.
And welcome back to our volleyball preview show on KLCS. I'm Randy Rosenblum. We're visiting with 3 elite coaches talking boys volleyball today. And we're going to go to Christy North in a moment, and she's going to help us with the very competitive Coliseum League. Here are the schools that consist and play volleyball in the Coliseum League: Crenshaw, Dorsey, Fremont, Jefferson, Locke, which is the defending champion, and Manual Arts. The Toilers are the team that finished 2nd to the Saints a year ago. All right, Christy, help us out here. We'll start with Locke. They're the defending champions, and again, this is a league that's not really not noted for volleyball, but let's find out about Locke.
I believe Locke, out of that league, will defend their championship, that they will be the league champions again, with probably Manual Arts becoming 2nd. They're a very scrappy team. We played them in the first round of playoffs, and they fought hard just to get into the playoffs and to be worthy of it. And that's the thing about this entire league, is all of those teams are really trying to improve. And Locke's got solid coaching, solid players. They're ready to play. They're having fun, and they want to improve.
There's Perez, and there's Alan Lopez, and some of the rest that are going to make up that Locke Saints team. I know when I think of Manual Arts, I think of Trent Cornelius, who's now working at the city office. Trent Cornelius is a guy that helped build the Manual Arts program, and you think of Manual Arts, that's the sport that comes to your mind. Boys volleyball. They've been very good in boys volleyball.
Yeah.
And they are keeping that league in the hunt with everybody else.
You used to think basketball, you think manual arts, but yeah, absolutely. Volleyball has been a strength of theirs, especially on the girls' side of things. Boys, I think they had a setback last year to lock, but they're going to be at the top of that Coliseum League, no doubt.
Yeah.
Anything else about the Coliseum League? Because it's not a league that's noted for boys volleyball. I think there are a lot of quiet people up here right now.
I'd like to see Jefferson make a comeback. Jefferson used to be one of those teams that made the effort to do the tournaments, and they always had terrific athletes. They were small. But I'm crossing my fingers to see Jefferson reemerge this year. They've been quiet for a couple of years.
Well, I think the manual coach last year, Minor Mendoza, crossed over to Jefferson. I'm pretty sure he crossed over. He's not coaching that
if
manual
that's
arts.
true, then Jefferson's going to be the beneficiary because Minor did a lot for those manual arts
He
Soilers.
did. I'm pretty sure he went over to the Jefferson team this year. He's not at manual arts this year.
So the Democrats could be.
They could.
This is the year of the Democrat,
They
isn't
can
that
take
right?
a seat away, in other words, right?
They could make some noise.
We're hoping it's the year of the Democrats.
All right, so it's no political
I'm sorry,
affiliation.
volleyball is what I was meaning.
Yeah, okay,
volleyball,
okay, I hope
completely
you-
volleyball.
Okay, stand volleyball here. I'm starting to lose this crowd. You know, I have a demonstration here, and we don't want it to go in the political way. All right, let's move ahead and talk about the freeway. Let's get on the freeway and get into a different lane here. Talk about the Freeway League. We have Central City Value, Maywood Orthopedic, USC Mast, and West Adams. Elias Gomez, I know you work in the small schools area. These seem to me to be small schools. Which is the best here in the Freeway League?
Well, to start off with the two new schools, Central City and West Adams, brand new programs, new coaches, new players. It's going to be a new year for them. It's going to be a new experience for them. So they're the entrants in this one. The favorites for here would probably be Maywood Academy and USC Mass, coached by the Sergios. Sergio Chavez at USC and Sergio Chavez at Maywood and Sergio Rivas at USC. They're the ones that are going to go for the championship in this league. Maywood Academy has Mike Alcala as a setter, Gustavo Castellanos as an outside hitter, and their libero Jose Mario Rocha. They're going to be a good team. USC has their deep dish setter, really quick hands, deep dishes a whole lot. But
Are you lobbying for calls already, Elias?
Already.
You're lobbying for calls.
He should be able to set his team, and it's going to be between Maywood and USC, but I think Maywood should come out slightly ahead.
Okay, and the level of the Freeway League volleyball. Again, these are new schools, building programs. How advanced are they?
I think Maywood and USC could be, out of the 12 teams that make small school, probably teams 5 or 6.
Okay, right in the middle of the top
Right in the
seeds.
middle pack of the small schools.
Okay, let's move ahead. And, the final league we want to talk about is the Valley League. Will Reinhardt, who is at Verdugo Hills, will assist us here since he's a Valley guy. They have East Valley out there, Fulton College Prep, Northridge Academy, which did conquer the field last year, including Elizabeth, and won the small schools title. So we'll find out more about Northridge Academy, Sherman Oaks CES, and Valley Alternative. So will Northridge won it last year. I would imagine Northridge Academy would be the team to beat here in the Valley League.
Yeah, well, I have it on a good source, Elias Gomez, no less than Elias Gomez, that Northridge is deep. They're experienced, and Ozzy Badi, the coach over there, who you got to know a little bit from the girls' season, she's got her team ready to go. So where she fell short to the Bulldogs back in the girls' season, I think she'll probably take it all the way. At least in this league, Northridge seems to be the team to beat.
I really liked her. She was well organized.
She was well organized. She had a lot of spirit, a lot of spunk, a lot of pluck, a lot of moxie.
Moxie, there.
Yeah, she sure did. And I
Well, you guys have your own vocabulary, and it's not really, normally in volleyball you got kill and spike and all these different volleyball vocabulary. You guys are coming in with a completely different vocabulary that's off the streets.
I think both Eli and I, getting a chance to know Ozzy a little bit, really, we thought that she's terrific for the sport. She's, and having Christy here, we talked a little bit about how the females that are coaching the guys. She's one of these tough females who really knows how to get it done. She got her boys in line.
We think.
Well, she has Alex
Oh, for
Prince,
Ozzy. Okay.
6'6", middle blocker,
Yeah.
kills everything. Terminator, killer, whatever you want to call him. 6'6", just nails every ball straight down. He kind of ended our run last year, and he's the
And he's
player.
coming back, yeah.
He's
so.
coming back.
And I really think the advent of the small schools playoffs is helping all of these teams so much, because then they have the confidence that they're having the same types of players that other small schools are having come to them, and it's giving them the chance to work out the kinks, to achieve slowly that level of competitiveness that they want to, so they can start breaking out and being more respected.
And this one I'll throw out to Elias. I know you think Fulton College Prep in this Valley League is pretty good as well.
Fulton's going to make a good run this year. They're picking up a lot of basketball players, and they have a pretty good basketball team, and they're going to be learning the game, but you know, a basketball player picks up the volleyball game quickly. So they should be up there in the running. I think there'll be a 3-4 seed.
All right, let's go into a little bit of a roundtable discussion. Not major issues, but certainly want to keep them away from politics, and we are going to get a little bit in that arena because there appears to be expansion on the horizon for boys volleyball in the city, not only trying to win a city championship, but I'm hearing in years to come we might have a regional championship which potentially could lead to a state championship. It's out there. What's going to happen? Are we expanding past the city finals?
Yeah, the CIF has approved it. So starting next year,
this year.
No,
not this year.
We will have a regional championship. Southern California regions. My understanding is Southern, San Diego, Los Angeles. I believe.
I don't think it's going as far north as Fresno.
I want to say Fresno might be involved in it, but the Southern California region will be represented in essentially half a California championship, if you will. And if the northern teams could get their act together and start fielding some boys teams, then we could have a true state championship as we do on the girls' side.
Do you guys like it?
Well, I love the idea. I believe they're going to start off with 3 divisions as opposed to the girls' 5. So many teams will have a chance to participate in this.
And anything that keeps promoting boys volleyball as a valid sport. You know, we're not on max preps. They don't think our stats are, you know, choice enough to have on max preps. You know, whereas, you know, I've got kids who are playing football, basketball, and they have all their stats there. You know,
but that's next. I think Max Preps is going to.
I hope so. I hope so. I
think
they
should be jumping on soon to have us there.
Well, and you know what we've seen is with the Los Angeles Volleyball Coaches Association and our section in particular is some leadership, because that's who brought it in. This idea of the regional championship is the LA Unified School District. Our city section teams are the ones that were pushing for it, not the southern section with those Orange County schools. And we've also got now the Frost Soft program that we're expanding. So
that's what I would have mentioned. We saw that in the girls, the Frost sophomore teams, which builds depth in the individual programs. How many of the schools in boys volleyball this year are now fielding Frost sophomore
Not
teams?
very many.
No,
yet.
I think we have 6 or 8 teams total.
We need more of that, right?
We do.
We do.
It's a first-year thing, and I think there was some confusion by some teams as to whether or not when to get the paperwork in. But it hasn't gotten as far as the girls. It's growing, though. And with those first 6, it'll go somewhere from there.
I think, too, that a lot of teams are worried about Frost Soft. They want to have a Frost Soft team, but it really comes down to gym time. You know, if you're Birmingham and you have 3 gyms, then heck yeah, you can have as many teams as you want. But if you're sharing gym time with basketball coming in, you know, finishing off with playoffs, plus Frost Soft girls basketball, you know, it really comes down to gym time. When can you get those athletes in?
But you know, we are going to see a different structure for girls basketball, where the girls Frost Soft basketball teams are going to be consolidated into one and played in the winter. So that's going to free up gym time for all of us who are in the boys sports in the spring.
Well, small schools is still going to be a year, maybe 2 years behind on Frost Soft volleyball because, for example, Elizabeth only has 1 gym. Maywood Academy, 1 gym. USC borrows a gym. So we will be 1 or 2 years behind that Frost Soft move.
You know, there's been a big disparity. We've mentioned that the West Valley League's won the last 9 boys championships and 10 out of 11. Why that disparity? Why is the West Valley so much stronger than the rest of the city?
Well, you know, my feeling is that because they have their athletes year-round. I have kids who are playing football. In the summer, they're at football camp or doing football things. They play basketball. They play soccer. I'm waiting to get athletes. I have about 30 to 45% of my team year-round, and so my kids have to scrap to find time to play as a team. You know, they don't have that time. There's more club pressure in the valley. I think that there are clubs available for kids in the city section of the city section. But I think there's not the opportunity to play as much. They have other outside extenuating circumstances.
I've got a thought on that, and it's simple. Talent. They've got more talent. They
the
have
San Fernando Valley and the West Valley?
The West Valley in particular. I mean, you know,
because they cultivate that talent.
But as much as I'd like to put it to other reasons, I'll tell you right now, these teams bring in the kids. They've got good coaching and the advantages you mentioned as well. but they have got the talented kids, the Cody Lowe's, and you know, I mean, they've got year after year the most talented players, and the coaches are real solid. Mercado and Harp and Coleman.
I think
over
again that's partly because these kids are playing year round.
It's the club.
It is the club that they are getting. They're not just getting coached by Tom or by Armand. They're getting coached by other top-notch coaches as well, and they're getting a whole different set. They know how to play at a different level because they're taught that way.
Look, I look at it this way. They set the standard. They set the bar, and I give them all the credit in the world for it. I'm trying to catch them. I know you guys are trying to catch them, but the reality is, come on, 9 straight, 10 out of 11, that is the standard. They've got the talent.
Will Reinhardt, thank you very much.
You bet.
From Verdugo Hills. Christy. Miss Christy north of Carson, we'll have you in the finals this year, hopefully.
It could happen.
And, of course, Elias Gomez of Elizabeth, best luck in the small schools.
Thank you.
We're going to come back with the best players and the best teams, and there are a lot of teams in this year of parity. That's next on KLCS.
Oh, we must be careful. Well, that's a nice picture.
Come on, Anna.
Okay.
Foreclosure doesn't affect just you. It affects your whole family, too. Call 1-888-995-HOPE for real help and guidance, because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
My favorite segment. It's not because it's the last segment, because we get to talk about the best players and the best teams. And this year, the year of parity, boy, do we have a lot of best player, potential city player of the years, and boy, do we have a lot of good boys volleyball teams that could win the city title. So let's get to it. Here's our list. These are the elite players for the 2008 boys season. We start with Joe Randis out at Granada Hills. He's a senior and a big fellow, middle blocker, about 6'5", 6'6", just a physical player. He's been on the city championship team from last year. So Joe Randis, certainly a candidate to be the city player of the year. There's Felipe Garcia, the junior setter at Sylmar. The Spartans have a very good team, and he is the focal point. He's got size from that setting spot. 6'4", he can spread the ball around. Very solid player, Felipe Garcia. There's Ross McFarland, the dynamic outside hitter for the Dons of Verdugo Hills. When he gets done this year, he will be the all-time kill leader for the Dons, and that's a program with a nice history, and Ross McFarland is a guy that can bring the heat. He will be the best in the storied school's history when season is completed. Scott Vegas at Palisades. You talk about your elite setters. He's on UCLA's list. They're taking a look at him. We'll see how he does in his senior year, but Scott Vegas is a very solid citizen. He'll be the guy who will lead the Dolphins this year. And keep in mind, the Dolphins have won more city titles than anyone ever. 10 crowns. They haven't won in a decade. Perhaps Scott Vegas can help them break through this year. There's the versatile one, the outside hitter. He can play some middle block as well, Joe Haw. Just a terrific all-around player for the Van Nuys Wolves. When you think of the Wolves, you think of Haw because of his great quickness. And again, he can play middle block and he can go outside. He gives the team versatility. Maybe not a better all-around player than Joe Haw. Ryan Machado is another outstanding player, the fine setter at Venice, playing for Alan Hunt. He's a guy who has great hands. He was all-city last year. Just a super smart kid, and that's what you want. Your setter's the quarterback of your team, and there's no question that Ryan Machado's got the smarts to run this team and run the Gondolier offense effectively and make Venice a threat. There's Ryan Perriman of El Camino Real of the Conquistadors. Of course, Perriman's the guy that may or may sit out this year. We don't know if he's going to play. You know, if he plays, certainly he's one of the best. He's a great hitter. He'll crunch down 15 or 20 kills a match for the Conquistadors. They need to have him in the lineup. If he's in the lineup, they are a different team, obviously. Ryan Perriman is a big-time terminal hitter. There's Skylar Vaden, and Skylar is the reason there is optimism at Washington Prep. Vaden is a basketball player, so obviously he is gifted with size. He's a big, tall, strong kid, and he will bring that basketball mentality to the floor on the volleyball team. They really like Skylar Vaden. He's brought leadership qualities to Washington Prep. They say he's a terrific athlete all around. He's been good in basketball. No reason to think that Skylar Vaden won't make an impact on the boys volleyball team at Washington Prep. And then there's Jeff Abadia, the final guy on our list here from Carson High School. He's another one of those fine all-around players. He's an outside hitter playing for the Colts. He's a senior, very quick, has a great jump serve, but he's the all-around talent that the Colts are looking for the leadership to get them deep into the city tournament. Those are the players we think that are the best. Any one of them could be the city player of the year. That's a big list because there are a lot of good ones this year. All right, who are the best teams in the city? We'll start with Carson. Abadie is out there. He's that great all-around player. Perhaps he can lead the Colts to the promised land. We'll have to wait and see. Colts lost a lot of players from last year, but with Abadie, they do have a chance. Chatsworth's an interesting team. I think they're the top seed. They're the team to beat. Chatsworth returns most of their players, and they got to the semis last year. We didn't mention any of their players because they're not listed as the best players, but they're team-oriented and they're very, very effective as a unit. There's Granada Hills. Tom Harp every year has the team ready. Of course, they're the two-time city champions, so you can never overlook the Highlanders of Granada Hills. Narbonne, very consistent team with great athletes. So you got to look in terms of the Gauchos making a run in the playoffs. So Narbonne is on our list. Palisades, I mentioned the Dolphins, 10 times the city champion. So whenever you talk about boys volleyball, the conversation has to include Palisades. They're just terrific. You know they're going to be well organized. You know they're going to have a good team, and you know they're going to be a threat. Sylmar has legendary coach Bob Thompson, 26 years of service. We know they're very good. We know they're dominant in the Valley Mission League, so Sylmar is on the list. The Taft Toreadors with Armand Mercado. They came so close last year. You had to feel bad for Armand and, of course, the players. You know they're going to have great athletes. He's going to probably go into that basketball team, go into that locker room and take some of those athletes, find a way to maneuver them around the volleyball court and get the Toreadors in a position to make a run in the playoffs. Van Nuys has the great Joe Haas, so there's no reason to think the Wolves won't be on the list. They're a very, very good team every year, and another team that's very solid in the San Fernando Valley, as is Verdugo Hills. The Dons will fight it out with Van Nuys in the Sunset Six League. Verdugo Hills with Ross McFarland and others. They love their setter, Blake. They think they can make a run into the tournament as well. And also there's Washington Prep. We mentioned how good Skylar Vaden is. With Vaden, his ability and size, perhaps Washington can make a run as well. So those are the teams we think have a chance. I personally think Chatsworth is the team to beat with all the experience. Even though there's no great individuals getting to the semis and all that starting team coming back, I like Chatsworth. There's no question, though, it's going to be a fun year of boys volleyball in the city section. If it's anything like last year, and both teams like Taft and Granada having a shot to win the city title, both having opportunities to serve for the match, and fortunately for Granada Hills, they were able to eke out that victory over Taft. It was a great match. But if we have a match like that again this year, it will be sensational. It'll be May 17th, the finals at Cal State Northridge. I want to thank our entire KLCS crew. I want to thank our wonderful coaches for coming out today. Of course, we had Will Reinhardt, we had Christy North from Carson, and Elias Gomez. Will, of course, from Verdugo Hills, and Elias of Elizabeth. For our entire staff, I'm Randy Rosenblum. Enjoy the volleyball, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.